today's episode entitled Enlightening Philosophies of Sri Aurobindo on the Evolution of Humans, Part 2 of 2. We present to you the wisdom of Sri Aurobindo. India, the home of many great spiritual leaders who have brought wisdom and truth to earth, inspiring us to seek higher purposes in life, thus uplifting humanity to a divine state of living. One such great being is the yogi, guru, philosopher, poet, and former politician Sri Aurobindo, who graced our planet from 1872 to 1950. Sri Aurobindo's time in politics was dedicated to achieving India's independence from within the Nationalist Party. However, after some difficulties and inner reflection, Sri Aurobindo retired from politics as his aim became greater than the liberation and service to not only his country, and instead to all humanity. Leaving politics, Sri Aurobindo left for Pondicherry, where he completely devoted his time to spirituality, retreating into the practice of silent yoga. During this time, and through the inner knowledge revealed to him, Sri Aurobindo began writings full of wisdom. Now published, Sri Aurobindo is most known for his philosophies on yoga and human evolution in books such as The Hour of God, Aphorisms, The Life Divine, and more. Sri Aurobindo brought the message that human life is transient and only a means in which we are to find our true divine selves, that our lives may be lived in perfection as we attain a higher consciousness connected with God. This higher consciousness is what Sri Aurobindo strived to establish in his life and then strive to help others around him to realize as well. Today, we share with you the wise writings from Sri Aurobindo. Man, the Purusha. God cannot cease from leaning down towards nature, nor man from aspiring towards the Godhead. It is the eternal relation of the finite to the infinite. When they seem to turn from each other, it is to recoil for a more intimate meeting. In man, nature of the world becomes again self-conscious, so that it may take the great leap towards its enjoyer. This is the enjoyer whom unknowingly it possesses, whom life and sensation possessing deny and denying seek. Nature of the world knows not God only, because it knows not itself. When it knows itself, it shall know unalloyed delight of being. Possession in oneness and not lost in oneness is the secret. God and man, world and beyond world, become one when they know each other. Their division is the cause of ignorance, as ignorance is the cause of suffering. Man seeks at first blindly and does not even know that he is seeking his divine self. For he starts from the obscurity of material nature, and even when he begins to see, he is long blinded by the light that is increasing in him. God, too, answers obscurely to his search. He seeks and enjoys man's blindness like the hands of a little child that grope after its mother. God and nature are like a boy and a girl at play and in love. They hide and run from each other when glimpsed, so they may be sought after and chased and captured. God is universal and transcendent, man hiding himself from his own individuality in the human being. The animal is man disguised in a hairy skin, and upon 4 legs. The worm is man, writhing and crawling towards the evolution of his manhood. Even crude forms of matter are man in his inchoate body. All things are man, the Purusha. For what do we mean by man? An uncreated and indestructible soul that has housed itself in a mind and a body made of its own elements. The goal. When we have passed beyond knowings, then we shall have knowledge. Reason was the helper. Reason is the bar. When we have passed beyond willings, then we shall have power. Effort was the helper. Effort is the bar. When we have passed beyond enjoyings, then we shall have bliss. Desire was the helper. Desire is the bar. When we have passed beyond individualizing, then we shall be real persons. Ego was the helper. Ego is the bar. When we have passed beyond humanity, then we shall be the man. The animal was the helper. The animal is the bar. Transform reason into ordered intuition. Let all thyself be light. This is thy goal. Transform effort into an easy and sovereign overflowing of the soul's strength. Let all thyself be conscious force. This is thy goal. Transform enjoying into an even and objectless ecstasy. Let all thyself be bliss. This is thy goal. Transform the divided individual into the world personality. Let all thyself be the divine. This is thy goal. Transform the animal into the driver of the herds. Let all thyself be Krishna. This is thy goal. What I cannot do now is the sign of what I shall do hereafter. The sense of impossibility is the beginning of all possibilities. Because this temporal universe was a paradox and impossibility, therefore the Eternal created it out of His being. Impossibility is only a sum of greater unrealized possibilities. It veils an advanced stage and a yet unaccomplished journey. If thou wouldst have humanity advance, buffet all preconceived ideas. Thought thus smitten awakes and becomes creative. Otherwise, it rests in a mechanical repetition and mistakes that for its right activity. To rotate on its own axis is not the one movement for the human soul. There is also its wheeling around the sun of an inexhaustible illumination. Be conscious first of thyself within, then think and act. All living thought is a world in a preparation. All real act is thought manifested. The material world exists because an idea began to play in divine self-consciousness. Thought is not essential to existence nor its cause, but it is an instrument for becoming. I become what I see in myself. All that thought suggests to me, I can do. All that thought reveals in me, I can become. This should be man's unshakable faith in himself, because God dwells in him. Not to go on forever repeating what man has already done is our work, but to arrive at new realizations and undreamed of masteries. Time and soul and world are given us for our field, vision and hope and creative imagination stand for our prompters. Will and thought and labor are our all-effective instruments. What is there new that we have yet to accomplish? Love, for as yet we have only accomplished hatred and self-pleasing. Knowledge, for as yet we have only accomplished error and perception and conceiving. Bliss, for as yet we have only accomplished pleasure and pain and indifference. Power, for as yet we have only accomplished weakness and effort and defeated victory. Life, for as yet we have only accomplished birth and growth and dying. Unity, for as yet we have only accomplished war and association. In a word, Godhead, to remake ourselves in the divine image. The end. The meeting of man and God must always mean a penetration and entry of the divine into the human and self-emergence of man in the divinity. But that emergence is not in the nature of an annihilation. Extinction is not the fulfillment of all this search and passion, suffering and rapture. The game would never have been begun if that were to be its ending. Delight is the secret. Learn of pure delight, and thou shalt learn of God. What then was the commencement of the whole matter? Existence that multiplied itself for a sheer delight of being and plunged into numberless trillions of forms, so that it might find itself innumerably. And what is the middle? Division that strives towards a multiple unity, ignorance that labors towards a flood of varied light, pain that travails towards the touch of an unimaginable ecstasy. For all these things are dark figures and perverse vibrations. And what is the end of the whole matter? As if honey could taste itself and all its drops together, and all its drops could taste each other, and each the whole honeycomb as itself. So should the end be with God, the soul of man and the universe. Love is the keynote, joy is the music, power is the strain, knowledge is the performer, the infinite, all is the composer and audience. We know only the preliminary discords, which are as fierce as the harmony shall be great. But we shall arrive surely at the fugue of the divine beatitudes. We appreciate your loving presence on today's episode of Enlightening Philosophies of Sri Aurobindo on the Evolution of Humans, Part 2 of 2 on Words of Wisdom.